there's a lot of things too. I mean, like I say, as I was going along buying places and protecting places, there's a lot of things like in a muddy pasture or there's poop or something like that. As my troops went in there and like I was finding out about the situation, it's like bloop. I would call it like ick, like mud ick, like because my tanks would be going, or my building crews would be going, and then bloop, and then it's like, oh great, they're stuck. Because like I'd be watching the progress and everything and be getting updates and stuff like that, and then like my tanks would get stuck in mud. It's like ilk, we'll call it ilk, ick. Like I said, I had a sense of humor. Like this one time, it's like, well, now that you bought our town, what are we gonna call it? I don't know, some random name. Random it is. Like that wasn't what I meant exactly, but okay, I guess it'll do. So, yeah, I mean, as I bought, because I'd be giving these people like steam engines and trains, and I'd be buying a mine over there. I'd be doing something, like I said, aircraft, or I'd be putting in an airport, and it's like, well, you're gonna get one of my airports, so because you've reached that size, anyway, or my mining people would be like, okay, well, we need to upgrade this mine, but and it looks like it's going to be a good one, but uh, so we'll be changing the name. What should we change it to from the old name? So I was like, well, and sometimes I'd be like, well, we don't really have to change the name. I already have named like most of these places or whatever. We could probably leave it the same. I don't know, just call it two or something like that, like second, or whatever, because like or saying because so there's a couple seconds and stuff like that because like under new ownership of me, as I bought things and upgraded them and just put it because like I said, I did the electrical network for all these places. Like it was my copper going into the wires that take power to people. I did the first, spent a lot of money to do the first high voltage power line that went from a power plant to a city. And it was a test to see if we could get it to work and to see if it would be safe and all that other stuff. Because it's a matter of the insulators too. And so, like, I spent like $35,000 a long time ago. I mean, $35,000 to me versus it's more or less communism and just like we're making history here. Like people would be like, we're making history here, boys. So because like a lot of the stuff is like it's like forever history. So the kind of like I tell them too, I was like, we're making the kind of history that you can't take back. Forever people will tell stories about these moments for the rest of their lives, and they will try and understand what we're doing here and what we've done and try and figure out what we were thinking. So, but we're here and we're doing it. So, you know, prosperity and stuff like that. Because I would always try and enforce that as well, is that, we're not just crawling around the mud, just having a normal existence. We're actually making history. So a lot of people would push a little harder or pull a little harder. A lot of people would get things done a little bit more because, we were building towns. We were, protecting and serving, like I say. And like I said too, and a lot of stories will get changed and twisted out of shape over the years. We'll see how that goes. But basically, I was making history with my people and actually inventing and actually doing it in time and space. And of course, like for years, people would be like, who was Lucifer? Who is Lucifer? And it's like, well, it was me. And like I said, that's why Louisiana and Lotus and DeLorean and it's just people just didn't know it or don't know it. So anyway, yeah. And there's a lot of things like, I'd have to refresh my memory a lot about the pictures and everything else like that because a lot of the situations, those were my people down there doing the work and stuff. And I was being advised on everything at the time, at least mostly. I mean, there was times when I was being advised, and times when somebody else was trying to overrule me or overthrow me or whatever, and it's like, yeah, that's not really going to happen because the people were loyal to me. I trained my people, trained the people, my people led the people, my people. We built the farms, great wealth, great everything. We showed it was possible, and everyone else would just be wishing or trying to change what really happened or change how it looked, you know, and or say that something happened that didn't happen. So like, but being the reality and the real situation, reality of the situation is a little bit different than hearsay or some film that was put together. And like I said, that's why another reason why I always reinforced with films and pictures. Like I always wanted pictures of every single mine, and I wanted pictures of constant updates about the mine size and everything else, and also pictures of the mine size because, like, I mean, you could strike gold and all of a sudden it's this huge mine, and and then it's like, well, damn, I wish I had taken a picture of back when we were still a small crew. So I mean, and I had firsthand experience with that. Is like take a picture when you're first starting out. Maybe you fail, maybe you don't, but you know, you always have that picture. And I always reinforce that with all my people. And it kind of motivated them to get the job done actually and work a little harder. Not that they really had to because we were always like really well financed. But I guess I could have died and we could have lost everything. And I mean, all my decisions were always sound and well thought out, and I was always right. So I was always very, 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 very careful with everything, and reminding people constantly that well, we're going to be judged on everything we do. So, if we mess up here, it's big. You know, because they're going to lie about us anyway. I would always say that too. I always be like, well, they're going to lie about us anyway. There's no doubt that they're going to say, well, you weren't really that, or you weren't really this, because they always do. They always did. They're always going to say, well, you weren't really that guy. So we have to make sure that we're absolutely perfect with everything. Otherwise, we'll just be adding fuel to the fire, because they're already going to lie about us and they're already going to make up shit. So we had to be perfect on paper and absolutely perfect with everything we did, like step by step, because, if there's any doubt, then we're just adding fuel to the fire and, we're gone. We're done. It will be over that quickly. And that's why I said you cannot be psychotic and attack people. You have to be perfect. If you are not perfect, then I am not perfect. And, you're bringing down 100 trillion-year-old empire or more, or 1,000-year-old empire or a 500-year-old empire. You have to be perfect on everything, because if we're not, then all this momentum we have is for nothing. So my people always basically knew, what was at stake, what was going on, and pretty much that was what made all this. America, everybody driving around really nice cars and everything else like that. Like we had it by 1920, really, but we just didn't have quite the high technology. So, I was super, super, super successful. Inventor of television, inventor of commercials, inventor of, well, not necessarily inventor of television because, I had people for that, but inventor of commercials, the idea of commercials, the idea of TV, the idea of sitcoms, the idea, like Magnum PI and stuff like that. And like those old books that talk about the West, and glorify the West and all that to get people to move out to the West.